Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I want to show you my custom working village trolley that I designed using an Arduino and some relays and some new LED lights. This is a Lionel trolley as a base that I used, but then inside I have a custom sound chip, Arduino Nano, and little LED lights that I soldered. And I'm going to be making a separate video talking about the programming and how to control relays. This is just more demonstrating the little trolley that I made. I was sort of disappointed with most trolleys that you see for villages, because they usually just go straight back and forth and it's really obnoxious. And the Lionel ones do the same thing, but they're even more obnoxious because usually they have to go at higher speeds. And I really like things that are track powered, because then you never have to change batteries. So what I did is, for base, what I went with is a track-powered Lionel trolley, and it's very substantial in weight. This is from about the 1980s or so, and so it still has the AC-powered motor, and so basically power is in the middle, and then these are two ground rails. And in the future, if I get a larger village setup going, I could also have like railroad crossings and other things triggered by the track. So it's a much better system than just having a little car that does nothing really. So what I'm using as a base here is just a regular Lionel bumper trolley. And like I say, it's track powered, and it would run on about 15 volts AC, which is deadly for an Arduino. So then, to actually power the whole system that's controlling it, I made a custom power supply which is underneath the Arduino Nano. It's really hard to get to, and I basically insulated everything in electric tape. But it consists of a full bridge rectifier which converts AC power into direct current. So then you're getting about 18 volts DC, depending on how high or low the transformer is for the actual trolley, because this still runs from a regular Lionel power supply. And then from there I used a step down transformer, which you can find on eBay for a few bucks, and they just basically take a higher DC power level and lower it down to a regulated power that you set. So I set it for about 4.9 volts, and so then no matter what level the track is getting, the Arduino Nano and sound system and relays are still getting the same power. And same thing with the LEDs. So no matter what power level you set on the transformer, the LEDs will still be the same brightness. And then the Arduino Nano, like I say, I'll make a separate video on the programming of it, and I'm happy to share the code with anyone who's interested. Basically, I put a brass contact insulated with electric tape on top of the regular switch, which is down underneath here, because I had to isolate the original contact. So basically it still senses with these bumpers, so it still can know which end of the track it's on and which way it's supposed to be going next. And so then that sensor is feeding to the Arduino. So there's a ground that goes down to the switch, and then there's either a right or left that will be on depending on which way it is. And then once that information is fed to the Arduino, then it will optionally switch one of these relays on or off Usually they're both off, so then this trolley is stationary. But then when it's going a direction, one of the relays will turn on. This is a really nice system because it actually lets the motor turn off. So there's no sound, it's just sitting there and it's quiet. And you can actually designate the amount of time you want it to wait at one of the stations or ends of the track. You could even program it to wait in the middle of the track if you had a station somewhere else. I didn't get to that level of programming. And then up here is the little sound chip that I use. These again, overall this whole project probably cost me about 80 bucks. The most expensive part was just buying the trolley. But then like the birthday card speaker I used was free, and then the wire I all had laying around. LEDs really only cost a few bucks for 100. And then the Arduino Nano I got for like 2 bucks or so, because this is a knockoff version. And the relays cost me only a buck or so. And then this is, yeah, a few dollars. So this I just put a mp3 file that I made, which was me actually ringing a gong to make the little bell sound that you hear before it goes. And so I'm happy to share that file. I've already uploaded a file to YouTube actually on my audio channel of my trolley sounds, because I also was planning on making a horn sound for this, but with the speaker being so tiny it didn't sound very good. But basically the Arduino Nano has a millis timer for a minute. So there's an internal program clock going on that will tell it basically every 30 seconds it'll trigger a sound, and then it'll go. And then it'll wait, and then once the 30 seconds is up again, then it'll trigger sound and then go. Additionally, just to be fancy, I added little headlights on either side that will turn on prior to it going. So the little light will light up, and then the sound will play, and then it'll go, and then once it reaches the other end, the light will turn off. And it's overall been a pretty reliable program. And the only issue I've had is sometimes it'll get stuck in between sensors, and I just haven't dealt with debugging the program. But potentially when I upload the file for you to use potentially in your project, I will try and debug it. It would essentially just be a matter of writing a different series of events so that when it is going, it will only turn off after the sensor is fully switched. So I just haven't done that yet. I also was originally planning on making the internal cab lights to flicker or do something, and I could even have multiple different sounds. I just haven't thought of anything worth doing yet. If anybody has a good suggestion, I'm happy to try it out or see how that works. Originally I was also thinking about having a conductor say all aboard or something, but it's kind of nice as it is because it's more subtle and it's really not obnoxious in comparison to all the rest of the village. So you can just have it going and it's really not a big menace. Whereas if you had a ton of other sounds, then it's kind of annoying after a while. But it just sort of does the little bell sound and that's it. Now we'll just watch the train again. It is nice having the Arduino actually control it as well, because it can run at a slower speed than with the original. Sometimes the original one would just simply stall out or get stuck at one of the bumpers instead of fully switching, and then since it would immediately reverse, is you had to have it at a certain speed, and it was very, very obnoxious. So this is a lot more subtle. And really, I could see this being very nice if I had a longer track and a bigger village out, because you could have it go in a longer route, and it's been really pretty reliable. The only issues I've had is with the track becoming separated, and so what I've done is just put painter's tape and rolled it on itself and then stuck it underneath the track, because the weight of the train plus the tape will help it actually stick down, because as it's rolling over the tape it'll stick, and so that's why here it doesn't actually slide the whole track when it stops. Unfortunately though, up here on the hill it's been having some issues because it's going uphill obviously, and the bumper, and it's on top of a sheet, so I'm very satisfied though with the little headlights, and overall the lighting still looks pretty good. It's brighter than it was originally, and now since it's LED you don't have to worry about it melting, because originally it was an incandescent bulb, so if you ran it for long periods of time the plastic would melt. So I think it looks pretty nice for a little village. If I was to make a revised version, I would try and make the wiring even more compact so that you don't see it. But overall, it's kind of the best I could come up with, because there was a lot I was having to try and cram into such a small space to get the trolley to actually operate. But it's nice because I can actually control the speed of the trolley with the motor control. And like I mentioned before, the lights don't get dimmer. So that way you can actually adjust the optimum speed for what you want and not have it affect any of the programming. It just simply controls the motor speed, but the Arduino still does its same task just as well. The only thing is, if it's trying to go uphill, it needs a bit more juice. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions about programming or wiring, just let me know. Another important thing about if you're trying to get relays to work with an Arduino is you need to have reverse polarity protection on the relay itself. Because when a relay coil gets energized from your Arduino program, it will hold a charge and then release it in a spark. So you need to clamp it with a diode in reverse polarity from what you're giving it. So if you are giving it positive negative, you need to reverse that to be negative positive. So you get the idea, so that then when the relay is turned off, you don't get a massive energy surge, because that'll kill your Arduino pretty quick. As far as the rest of the wiring, it was all pretty straightforward. It's just simply pin to pin for the sound chip. It triggers at a low level, so you need to give it negative power. And the LEDs, just a resistor, just sort of calculate. But yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, like I said, just let me know.